the erogenous zones in and around the vagina itself. Obviously, the big show is generally the clitoris. Being able to identify where it is not difficult. So I'll just briefly tell you that where the folds of the vagina meet at the top, you can't always see it because it's underneath the skin, but you can feel what feels like a little piece of cartilage underneath. You can rub back and forth and feel this piece of cartilage. It's like a stalk underneath the skin. And the very head of it that peeks out below the hood is the head of the clitoris, but the whole thing is sensitive. And to just play with the head is to miss a lot of the fun. In fact, the clitoris is like a fork that sticks downward like this, and we see the head of the clitoris here, but it actually runs down the sides of the vagina as well. And to stimulate that whole area is to invite sexual satisfaction. And in fact, a lot of women masturbate with three fingers. Their middle finger right down the middle, and one finger on each side, and they make a circular motion. Why do they do that? Because they're getting the entire clitoral body. Now, here's another thing you need to know about the clitoris. For some women, it's so sensitive that touching it directly on the head is actually uncomfortable. They prefer indirect stimulation. But other women like it hard and rough right on the head. How do you find out which kind of woman you're with? Well, trial and error. That's how. You're going to actually have to play with it a little bit. That's how you're going to find out. When it comes to the clitoris, there's no such thing as too much lube, whether that's a tube of lube, her natural juices, saliva, whatever it is. The wetter the better when it comes to stimulating the clitoris. Dry rubbing on the clitoris is like fingernails on the blackboard for most women. You don't want to do that. It's not sexy. So that's the clitoris. Now, it turns out that the labia themselves, the lips of the vagina, are full of nerve endings. They're incredibly arousable and open to sexual stimulation. And again, you can use the entire palm of your hand, three fingers, and of course, your finger, lips, tongue, cock. The whole area is just rich with nerves. And sometimes a lot more fun to play in that area, just stimulating the lips before you go to the clitoris, because until she's well aroused, that clitoris will be too sensitive for direct touch. And you'll know when it's ready because it actually begins to swell. It actually gets engorged. Another area of the vagina that's well worth experimenting with is the perineum, right below the vagina. A little bit of pressure there or stimulation there sends most women through the roof. We could even go as far as the anus, but today we're talking about the vagina. But the anus also very, very erogenous for most women, particularly along the outside of the structure. Now, heading inside the vagina, which we all want to do, the entire wall, all of the walls of the vagina, again, are sensitive. They have a lot less nerve endings than the clitoris. But most women report that feeling of fullness when you slide your cock into her or two or three fingers is extremely pleasurable. In other words, it's not just the friction, but the actual pressure on those areas. And in particular, there are some areas that you definitely want to play around with if you want to become an expert. The first is if you insert your finger into the opening of her vagina and go straight downwards. That will give her a feeling of depth and fullness that she'll enjoy. Try that while you're using oral sex on her clitoris. It's usually very, very well received. The other area is straight up, about 1.5 to 2 inches inside the vagina. There's a little area that, as she becomes more and more sexually aroused, becomes kind of spongy and soft, and you found her Gspot. It turns out that only about 1 in 7 women really love having their Gspot stimulated, which is crazy because we hear about the Gspot all the time. But only 1 in 7 women really report that they have Gspot orgasms. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't play with it. And in fact, the more aroused she is, the more likely she's going to suddenly discover, oh, wow, look, I'm one of those 1 in 7. But if you just go for it without doing all the other stuff first, she may find it either uncomfortable because the urethra is right under there and it may just be uncomfortable for her, or she may feel nothing at all. And then the other spot that I think evolution has programmed into women that's really well worth playing with because it's that spot that when your penis hits it is most likely to make her pregnant. So she's well wired to enjoy stimulation. There's the anterior fornix, sometimes called the A spot, sometimes called the D spot. Sometimes called the A spot, sometimes called the deep spot. And if you reach all the way inside, you can feel this donut, this round muscular structure that's the cervix. And as you trace around the cervix, the very top of the cervix, you'll feel some smooth tissue. And that smooth tissue is the A spot. Pressure, rhythmic pressure in that area will bring many women to shuddering, powerful orgasms. Two ways to reach it. One is if you have long fingers or she has a shallow vagina, you can get some good pressure there. But another way to reach it, of course, is with your penis, just by going in with an upward angle and gently feeling where that cervix is and then leaning back a little bit in order to get the head of the penis pointed upwards. Now, from that position, thrusting rhythmically will be generally a very good experience for your woman. But another thing that you can try that I absolutely love, I call the stillness orgasm. And it's a beautiful thing to share with a woman. And that's when you're very, very excited to push yourself as far in as you can, pressing the penis against that A spot, and then just feeling the turn on there, being totally still and just pressing. And the pulsation within your penis creates a little small pulse, and that subtle feeling, to share that with your woman is an incredible turn on for many women, will lead her to a really powerful, beautiful orgasm. So there's a bunch of things.